Hello. Hello. Welcome to the Genuine Ginger Experience. I am your hostess, Mackenzie Quintana, and I am just here to share with you the things that I have been learning, that I have learned, that have helped me be happier and have a more joy-filled life and have a more hope-filled life. That's my word this year, by the way, hope. I kind of started doing that a couple years ago, just kind of picking a word for the year. It's kind of like my theme of what I want to look to and focus on. And sometimes I forget about it halfway through the year or sooner, and sometimes it stays with me. But anyways, side note there, hope. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to commit to like once a week like I was doing for a while there. I might keep doing once a week. I might do more. I might do less. I am committing to sharing with you what and when I feel compelled to share with you. So that is my commitment to you. And hold on. I have an interruption in the form of my 5-year-old needing me to unlock the tablet for him. So that's lovely. Real life. Anyways, I did want to share something with you today, and wow, my voice. I shouldn't have eaten a chocolate before I hopped on here. Today I wanted to share something with you that I have been practicing a lot lately. It's something I've shared kind of probably here before in a way. I guess I'm just sharing it in having a different approach. And I have my therapist to thank for this. He's the one that kind of shared it to me in this way, and it's the way that I want to share it with you. And it is, so it's called the Choice Point, or I guess it's from a book called The Choice Point by Bailey. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm reading the text and it's really small. By Bailey, nope, I don't know how to say that. Ciarrochi Harris. So if you want to look up the book, I actually haven't read it yet. It's called The Choice Point. Just based on what I was shared from it, though, I'm sure it is a fantastic read. So I would probably recommend it to you. But basically, and like I said, I feel like I've shared this before, right? Like we have the choice to choose our thoughts. But so I've said that before, and I used to think that if I haven't shared that on here already, I used to say that all the time. Like, and I would tell my kids, I would tell my husband, I would tell myself, I would tell my friends, you have the choice to choose, like you get to choose your thoughts. I feel like we hear that now if you're in, like any sort of self-development, self-improvement space. And so I was really surprised when a while back in my therapy session, my therapist was like, you don't. You don't choose your thoughts. And I was like, well, I thought I did. And anyways, basically just what his point was like, yeah, okay, we do get to choose our thoughts, but there also are oftentimes, more often than not, thoughts just come into our mind, right? Like they just pop in. Like just a thought pops up, and it's not necessarily that you're like, I'm going to choose to think this, right? It's just it comes up. So but then is when we get to this choice point. Once we have the thought, we can then choose what we want to do with it, right? And in this instance, I'm not going to talk about okay, so I have the thought, what should I have for dinner? Like that's kind of not this. I'm talking more, those thoughts that could lead us into a downward spiral or not. And so say, you have the thought, lately I've been super triggered by a lot of things on social media. And so, probably real life example here, I see a swimsuit ad and I have the thought, gosh, I wish I looked like that model, for example. Just for example. And so that thought just automatically comes into my head, right? I didn't decide to have that thought. It just popped in. I wish I could look like that model. But then once I've had that thought, then I have a choice. Then comes in, you get to choose your thoughts. I get to choose my thoughts. And the way that it talks about it in this book, I'm assuming based on how it was shared with me, is that when we have these kind of more negative, pessimistic, maybe, just, I guess negative is the best way to put it, thoughts, we can choose to either get hooked on them or not. And what that looks like if we get hooked on it is basically we let ourselves take a downward spiral. We say, so in that example of I wish I looked like that model, then I could continue with, yeah, like no matter how hard I try, I just can't lose weight. I might start to just, keep having these thoughts of low self-esteem. And usually that then leads me to being more reactive. So then say, just again, for example, a child comes in and needs me, I might respond unfavorably. I might respond that I'm, because I'm annoyed. And so I start to kind of just, get reactive. Maybe I isolate myself a little bit more because I don't feel good. And I'm probably then gonna resort to eating chocolate, which has nothing to do with the chocolate that I just ate, I promise. Other situations probably would have, but today I chose to eat the chocolate in full good conscience. So then we're hooked on this feeling and hooked on this thought, and it's taking us into a downward spiral. And essentially it then takes us to a place where we are in the realm of the adversary, essentially. Like, yes, even with something as maybe superficial and silly as I wish I had looked more like this model. Having that, negative thoughts of self-image or whatever, that puts us in a place where the devil, Satan, the adversary, is more easily able to tempt us and to keep us in those negative thoughts and just keep us in that sucky place and that downward spiral. So that is one avenue. The other avenue, when this thought pops up of, I wish I looked more like this model, I could choose to not get hooked on that thought. I could choose to stay unhooked, which is going to then look like me thinking, what are some good thoughts that you could tell yourself there, Kenzie? That I am beautiful just the way that I am, and that it's most important to be healthy, and that my body has seen a lot of change and a lot of growth and done a lot of beautiful and miraculous things, and so I need to give myself grace. And choosing thoughts like that, first off, helps you kind of stay in a good state of mind, right? It's keeping me in not in a downward spiral. It's at least keeping me where I'm at, and instead of making me have a downward spiral. It could potentially lead me into an upward spiral of feeling a lot better and wanting to do better things and take better care of myself and all the things. And it's going to lead me towards just being that person that I truly want to be, right? And living the way that I want to live, which essentially is living in the space where God can communicate with me, where I can feel God's presence and his encouragement and his love and his guidance and direction. So I just remember thinking like I said, I've shared this, even I feel like now I'm remembering I've shared like the downward spiral versus the upward spiral and things like that. But when I put it into this when it was put into this perspective of Satan versus God, like essentially that is what I am choosing, I was like, oh, wow. Well, when you put it that way, right? Like, of it makes it a lot more appealing and, for me at least, a lot easier, to not, maybe not necessarily easier, but there's a lot more motivation and desire to choose those thoughts, to keep unhooked, to stay unhooked, to choose those thoughts that are going to lead me in a either keep me where I'm at in just a kind of a neutral state, or help me move in an upward spiral. And, like I said, that is something that I've had to practice a lot lately. And so give yourself grace, as you practice this as well, because it isn't always easy. I lately, especially, and I'm just coming off my period, and so especially the past few days, I have gone in a downward spiral often, multiple times a day. I've gotten hooked on various different thoughts, and I have found myself spiraling downward. Um, but the good news is you can stop that spiral anytime you want. And, that's something that I've had to practice. And it's something that has, it is a natural. I remember, years ago, often I would get in downward spirals. And I think I've shared this before, it would result in me just feeling like crap the whole day or the whole night. Or, I'd have a pity party and just feel really, really bad. And I would end up feeling, treating my kids even worse, which then made me feel worse. And just, it was just, again, just this really bad downward spiral. But since becoming more aware of this and being reminded of this and reminding myself of this, on a regular basis lately, as I'm having to practice this more, lately, especially, I've had many opportunities to practice it. Thank you, God, for these many opportunities for me to practice this skill. At least that is one way that I could choose to see this. But where was I going with all this? Oh, that I've realized that you can stop this spiral anytime. And like I said, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's a lot funner and it's a lot, more rewarding in the moment to just let yourself get sucked into that feeling, that thought, get hooked on that thought, and let yourself go in a downward spiral. But something that I've tried to remind myself lately is like, you've done that, right? Like I'm sure all of us have had that downward spiral before. And I feel like for most of us, it's usually kind of the same set or the same 5 or 6 or the same, however many thoughts that kind of always trigger us to go into these downward spirals. And so it can be very predictable, right? It gets very predictable that, oh yeah, yep, here's that thought again. Here's how I get hooked on it again. And then all the things that come up that I feel this way, and all the thoughts and all the things. And to just stop and go, I actually don't really like this. I've seen where this goes, and I actually see that it's not, productive. It doesn't get me where I want to get. It doesn't make me feel the way I want to feel. It doesn't help me be the person that I want to be. And so instead of just kind of succumbing and giving in to that downward spiral that's just a pattern and a habit for most of us, you can stop it at any point and just, it literally, it can be like flipping a switch. That came out weird. Flipping a switch at times. Breathing out, just taking a big deep breath in and then just whoosh, just letting it all go is a really good way. Standing up, like physically getting yourself into a different space, into a different environment from where you're at, getting up and changing the activity that you're doing, turning on some music, putting on a video, a motivational thing that you can listen to, or opening up a good book, just literally anything that can just help you kind of flip that switch and flip the spiral and get you, unhooked from that thought. And it can completely change the course of your day and essentially, eventually, over time, the course of your life. And I have seen that in my own life, and I've seen that in the day to day of my life. And like I said several times, it's something that I'm still practicing. It's something that I am still having to be reminded of by other people that, hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but you're getting hooked on this thought. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I totally am. Wow, I know this. I know that this is not, what I want to do and who I want to be, but yet it's so easy for us. So again, give yourself grace. It's just a matter of practicing and recognizing and essentially being stronger than your thoughts, being more, having more determination to be the person that you want to be and feel the way that you want to feel instead of just being a victim of your thoughts. And that sounds a little bit harsh, but it kind of is sometimes. So, anyways, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that was helpful and not too redundant, because I know that I've shared a similar thing before, but it's just been on my mind lately. So that's what I felt like I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you're enjoying these episodes. I would love, love, love it if you shared my podcast with your friends or family, or, share it to your social media and tag me if you feel so inclined. I would love to hear feedback, leave a review. I would love to see that you're enjoying these. And if you're not following me, I am on Instagram, the.genuine.ginger. And I also have my website, thegenuineginger.com, where you can learn more about me. I was going to say look into me a little bit more, but that sounded weird. So anyways, have a fabulous day. Keep this in mind throughout the day and come back to this episode as often as you need to be reminded. I might need to come back to it often. And so no shame if you need that as well. All right. I love you. Take care. And we will talk to you soon.